real estate reviews. And this is kind of a misconception about what a real estate review is, because what we often think of is a consumer leaving us a review, and that is not at all what this is about. This is about us staying in front of consumers and then also potentially being able to gain some trust of some potential consumers in the future. So I'm going to show you a full real estate review, what it looks like, or a sample one, and then I'm going to talk to you about how it's created, what it is, why it is, and creating it. These should take you 15 to 20 minutes maximum. That's all it should take you. And, but you do have to do some work to get your template set up. And each one of them, you may have a different, you might have a piece you want to take out for somebody or a piece you might want to add in for somebody. So keep that in mind as you're looking at my sample. Just because I created it in a certain way doesn't mean that it has to be that way. You can rearrange it, take stuff out, whatever you want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. What am I sharing? This screen. And this is what our real estate review looks like. I'm going to leave it on this, this view, so hopefully you guys can see it well enough. So it really is an annual look at the aspect of the value of the home and in the market that we're currently in, right? So we go to the doctor every year and we get a checkup, and a lot of us see a tax attorney every year or a tax accountant every year, and he helps us with our finances. Some of us see financial planners on an annual basis. This is the same kind of concept. The concept is, hey, let's look at the biggest asset that you own and take a look at what's happening with that asset. And the reason why we actually explain in this report. So there's always a cover sheet with the photo and the address, and then some statistical data. The last time I ran this statistical data was a while ago, but I'm going to show you where you can pull this data. Some people are really data driven and other people don't care at all. But this is going to show fourth quarter of last year how much the different areas changed in valuation. So in Washington State, it grew 8.6% in 2019. This is just some other informational data that you can add in from the Northwest MLS about average sale prices and how they're being affected over a span of, it looks like we've got 2006 to 2020. And then a snapshot, sorry about that, a snapshot here of just the different counties and some statistics that are happening. So I'm going to show you all of those. These are optional and they're in two different ways for you to view them. This one will take a little bit more time, but you would give some statistical data on the county that the house is located in, the specific city, and then the specific neighborhood. This gives you a little area so that you could write something up, and you could change that to make that down below if you wanted. This is if you felt there was additional data that might be helpful to put into a specific report. So you wouldn't have two of the same items. It's just different things in the template for you to utilize. And then we get down to the really fun stuff. So this is where we are able to look up when they purchased the home, for how much they purchased it for, what their tax assessment currently is, and then what some of the online reports are showing. And why I like to do this is look at the variations in these reports, right? Zillow 680, Redfin high 817, Realtor.com at 710,000. They're all over the board. So then we include some data points down here on why online valuations are not ideal, and how they can have variations within them. I might give a small snapshot of some sales that have happened in the specific neighborhood that home's been in. And then I'm going to give them some data points on why this valuation matters. This can help them with home equity lines of credit. It can help them to make decisions about refinancing, if there should be home renovations or updates done, and just their general appreciation or depreciation of the market, which can also help them for their insurance coverage. At the bottom here, this is just where the signature line we've created for you. You would just pop that in over this spot, okay? And then I like to leave them with something useful, and that is some yearly maintenance schedules. So this entire booklet is meant to be presented to a homeowner one time a year. You need to decide what that looks like for you. If it's somebody who you did past sales with, maybe it's on the month anniversary of the year that they purchased the home. Every year they're going to get this report from you. If you're trying to solicit for business, maybe if you start doing these in December or January, then every December and January, you're going to deliver a booklet to the same person. Now you can deliver this on their doorstep, put it in a folder. You could even mail them a report or put this in some kind of a digital format and send it over to them, print this into a PDF and send it to them digitally. You are not giving them a CMA. What you are doing is saying, this is what the temperature of the market is. If you want me to grill down more specifically what I think the value of your home is, reach out to me and let's set some time together to talk about, have you done any improvements on the home since the last time I've seen it, or ever since your purchase? What's your long-term plan with this house? If somebody said to me, I'd love for you to do a valuation for me, we're thinking about refinancing, one of the questions I would ask them is, how long do you see yourself staying in this home? Do you intend to be here for 2 years, 5 years, 7 years? I'm never leaving. I'm going to die here. Those things factor into if a refinance really makes sense, because there's going to be cost associated with that refinance. And if you max out all of your equity, you're not going to have as much if there's a turn in the market at some point. Okay. So now that you know what this report looks like, let me just show you how quickly you should be able to create this report. And when I say that, again, you need to come up with the template that fits you and your style for yourself. And once you have that template, that's where then the 15 minutes comes into play. The last time I did this was probably beginning of 2020. And this is my home. I'm not going to redo my home. I'm going to do a different house. So this is a Google image. So if you did not list the property, or you can't get a photo off the MLS, you can just Google the address, and almost all properties now have a Google image. Unfortunately, if you're up in areas like Arlington or Granite Falls, sometimes you just get a picture of trees. So you want to try to do your best to get a picture of the home, but most of the time you can find even an old picture on the MLS. If you are pulling this from somewhere where it's not tagged where it came from, I do highly recommend that down here with an asterisk and a very small disclaimer of where you pulled that image from, so that somebody's not like, how did you get this picture of my house? It's blue. My house hasn't been blue in 20 years. Those type of things. So it's very clear what you're doing. Okay, so let's go through and say that we're going to get some data points. First and foremost, I want to talk about where I came up with these national statistics. And so I'm going to move all of this over here for you guys. Ignore this settings. That's just something so that I can do this class for you guys. But I opened 2 MLSs to do these. So I open the MLS and then I open it a second time. And the reason why is I want to be able to get into InfoSparks and also have the listing up. The other thing that I'm going to do is go to FHFA.gov. The Federal Housing Financing Agency, if you scroll down here a little bit, will have this house price index. If you click on here, you're going to find all kinds of reports. One thing I will tell you about them is that their reports take forever to come out. So I like to use a quarterly report instead of a monthly report, because as you can see, they haven't even reported September's numbers yet. But you can do a quarterly report. So this would be Q2. And when I click on this report, it's going to allow me to download this. By the way, this is a really cool site if you've never played on it. And you're going to find all kinds of national statistics on all kinds of data. And you can decide what goes in here, okay? On a national level for Q4 of last year, there was growth of 5.4%. And then it shows you the different states and what their growth rates were. So this is a fun image for people to see, kind of a national level. And then there's some monthly statistics that you could add in there as well. So you kind of need to decide what you want to do as far as all of that is concerned. But again, just go to this website and download that report. So I'll go back to the front page for you, and just a reminder, scroll down, and it's this housing price index. I would play around in here a little bit. There is information about when they publish things, and the next publication will be the end of November, just so that you are aware of that. Okay, so let's talk about how we're going to customize this report. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to find my old listing, or I'm going to find the house that I'm interested in doing a real estate review for. If you don't have an old listing to go off, you can pull the address and realist and then find the last listing. But I'm going to go off of this property right here. The reason I'm going off of this property is it's my mom's property and I feel pretty comfortable doing this really quickly for you. I'm going to find the best image that I would represent that property, and I'm going to go ahead and copy that image, go back into my real estate report and paste it into here. I'm going to have to do some little adjustments, get rid of this guy. There's also I should have done that a little differently. There's also a replace image in here. So if I replaced it with a saved picture, I didn't save it. So we'll just take this out and pop it in here just because we're being quick. You get the point. And then I'm going to replace the address as well. What's really important in here is that you want to copy and paste this address, and you're going to use this address so many times. So copy and paste that bad boy. We're going to put it in here and adjust it. It's already adjusted. So we're good there. So then I want to come down and look at how am I going to get this statistical data. If you've learned anything about InfoSparks, you know what I'm looking for here. So I'm going to go, that's why I open the MLS twice. I'm going to go into InfoSparks, and while it loads, I'm going to get to my cheat sheet so I can make sure I'm pulling the right data. And before I compare this to Snohomish County and Linwood, I'm going to go up to my areas. I'm going to copy and paste in that address and hit the little search button. There it is. I'm going to do a quick little radius of that property, and I'm going to make it pretty small. And then I'm going to hit save. I'm going to name this, and you don't have to name it, but you do have to name it to get the statistics. I'm sorry. You could name this the address name. You could put in the client's name, whatever you want to do. Once you do this, you're going to see the button that says see stats. Here's the stats right here. Before I change anything and get into any of the data, I'm going to add an area, and I'm going to say Linwood. I'm going to add an area, and I'm going to look for Snohomish County. Okay, so for me, I really like to look at things, everybody knows this about me, in a bar format. It's so much easier for me to view. So blue line is the radius around the property, green line is Linwood, and orange is Snohomish County. So I'm really only looking at 2 years. I don't care about 3 years ago, so I can reduce this down to 2 years. And I can see that in that area, we are on median sales price. It's down 1.1%. But if I change this to average, it's up. So remember, an average is taking all of the home prices together and dividing it by that number of homes. So if 30 homes had sold, they'd take all the home sale prices, divide it by 30. Median is going to be taking the highest and the lowest and throwing a dot in the middle. I tend to go with average. It makes more sense for pretty much everything. So I use an average. So on this one, we're looking at sales prices average in her area is up 21.1%. So then I would come back into here, and I would find my homes for sale in her specific area is up 21.1%. And then I would just continue to do this. What is it for Linwood? And I won't do this whole thing with you guys. I'll go quickly. In Linwood, it's up 5.7%. And for the county, 7.8. 5.7 and 7.8. Can I remember that? Let's see. 5.7, and these are actually up 7.8. I just realized that these had a negative and they should be up. Okay, so then I would do, that's the homes for sale. I stuck that in the wrong column. You guys understand that these go over here in the average sales price. I apologize for doing that wrong. The other things that we're going to be looking at then is how many homes are for sale right now. Listing inventory, this is currently on market. It's down 50%. That's not shocking. And then we can also look at, got to move my little bar here. We can look at things like maybe you want to put days on market or new listings. So new listings are actually up as a whole for the entire year, but currently are down. So we're just going to grab that information from InfoSparks and we're going to throw it into our report. Okay. Again, this report here, you could add like days on market if there's other information that seems pertinent to the specific home. And then we're going to pull this information, this data point. And this is where you're going to go back to the MLS. And usually I'm using 2 screens so I can very easily go between. And I'm not right now, so bear with me as I jump back and forth. But I'm going to go back to my MLS listing right here. And I'm going to make note that this property was purchased on 12/18 of 18. And it was purchased for $373,258, so that we can put that data point in here. It's kind of a weird number. And then we're going to go get the tax assessment and the realist information. So how I do that is just from here, I'm going to go into realist. Remember, I've copy and pasted that, that address in here. So I'm going to go ahead and paste it in. And I'm going to search it. Because it's a condo, it's going to say, which one are you talking about? I'm going to go ahead and tell it which one I want. And then I can come down here and I can look at where we are with our tax assessment. So the 2020 numbers aren't out just yet. So our total value for taxes is $373. And then we're going to scroll down a little further and look at what Realist is talking about for the valuation. Realist, I tend to use their real AVM number. If you guys are familiar with doing CMAs, you'll know that they're not always that accurate, but that's the point of the entire report, right? Is to prove that there's a lot of variations and things. So I'm going to come in here and put those numbers, and I'm going to put what Realist said, which is 413, 500. And then we're going to go look at Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor. So I just open up Zillow, paste in that address, and it tells me 432, 360. I don't want this one bolded, so I'll unbold that. And then I'm going to go into Redfin. And why do we put in these kind of competitor information is a question that you could maybe ask yourself. And the reason why, oops, see what I did? I uncopy and pasted my address. Not smart. If I was doing 2 screens, it would be a lot easier to jump between. But why we use these competitor ones is because the reality is, consumers are very aware of these sites, and this is where they would typically go to, not to mention that Google will drive them there. So we might as well, you know, give them the data points that they could find on their own. But hopefully what we're doing in doing this is giving them some question as to why these valuations are so different. And then Realtor.com is another one that's pretty common. I will put in the address. And it's coming up with 420-200. We'll put that in here. All right, so you can see kind of what we did here. Then if I wanted to do a really quick, very, very quick, not CMA, but just some comparables of what's sold in the last year, I'll go back to the MLS really quick. And then what I'm going to do is do a quick search. I'm going to say sold 365. This is a condo, so I really want to pay attention to what the condos are. I'm going to start at a half a mile just because inventory has been so bad. And we're going to see we've got 15. So let me drop this down to 0.25, and we've got 4 matches. I'm going to search those really quick. Here they are. They're all in the same complex, which is really interesting. I'm going to change this to thumbnail, and I'm going to see all of these right here. And then what I'm going to do is hit a snipping tool. So if you, every computer that is a Windows computer has snipping tool. And I'm just going to copy these. Copy, and I'm going to go back into my report, and I'm going to paste them in here. Okay, so you kind of get the idea there. Nothing has to be changed on any of these unless you want to do any additional updates to it. That is really all it should take. So you can see that I did that in pretty much 15 minutes, maybe 10. Of course, I'm, jumping around pretty fast. But if I had two screens, it would actually have gone a lot faster for me because I would have been going back and forth right there on the screen. Then I would print that out, drop it off to them, let them know, hey, I like to, for my clients, do some kind of an update as to the value of their home, or I like to do this service for my neighbors or my friends and family, and explain to them, we go to the doctor. It's that whole concept. We go to the doctor, we go to the tax accountant, we go to our financial advisor. Why wouldn't you be looking at what your current investment looks like in real estate? And then you're providing that value to them. Again, there needs to be something in there that states that you are there to do a full CMA for them, to give them a more accurate snapshot of their home, but that the appreciation continues to go up in our market right now. And if they wanted to have further conversations, to let you know.